Critical thinking is the ability to think clearly and rationally. It includes the ability to engage in reflective and independent thinking. Some of the characteristics of critical thinking is able to do the following: understand the logical connections between ideas, identify, construct, and evaluate arguments, detect inconsistencies and common mistakes in reasoning, solve problems systematically, identify the relevance and importance of ideas, and reflect on the justification of one's own beliefs and values. Critical thinking is not a matter of accumulating information. A person with a good memory and who knows a lot of facts is not necessarily good at critical thinking. A critical thinker is able to deduce consequences from what he knows, and he knows how to make use of information to solve problems and to seek relevant sources of information to inform himself. Critical thinking also should not be confused with being argumentative or being critical of other people. Although critical thinking skills can be used in exposing fallacies and bad reasoning, critical thinking can also play an important role in cooperative reasoning and constructive tasks. Critical thinking can help us acquire knowledge, improve our theories, and strengthen arguments. So, why do we want to study critical thinking? Well, critical thinking is a domain general thinking skill. The ability to think clearly and rationally is important whatever we choose to do, be it education, research, finance, management, or legal profession. Critical thinking skills are not restricted to a particular subject area. Being able to think well and solve problems systematically is an asset for any career. Critical thinking is also very important in the new knowledge economy. The global knowledge economy is driven by information and technology. One has to be able to deal with changes quickly and effectively. The new economy places increasing demands on flexible intellectual skills and the ability to analyze information and integrate diverse sources of knowledge in solving problems. Good critical thinking promotes such thinking skills and is very important in the fast changing workplace. Critical thinking enhances language and presentation skills. Thinking clearly and systematically can improve the way we express our ideas. In learning how to analyze the logical structure of text, critical thinking also improves comprehension abilities. Critical thinking promotes creativity. To come up with a creative solution to a problem involves not just having new ideas. It must also be the case that the new ideas being generated are useful and relevant to the task at hand. Critical thinking plays a crucial role in evaluating new ideas, selecting the best ones and modifying them if necessary. And lastly, critical thinking is crucial for self-reflection. In order to live a meaningful life and to structure our lives accordingly, we need to justify and reflect on our values and decisions. Critical thinking provides the tools for this process of self-evaluation. So, what should we be aware of some of the characteristics of ineffective thinkers? They are impulsive, often jumping to conclusions, give up quickly if they are unsuccessful in solving problems on the first or second try, inflexible in approaching thinking tasks, use imprecise language, often plunge into a thinking task without planning what to do, fail to check their work for accuracy, reluctant to secure as much data as possible, skip steps in executing a thinking task, and then are unable to backtrack to see where they made mistakes, unable to engage in line of reasoning, and often incapable of launching a thinking task. So here are a few tips and tricks for both tutors and students about learning. First of all, for tutors, generally guide your students by asking questions. They can be, what is the next step? How does this relate to? How could you explain it in your own words? What information do we have? What are we looking for? Can you list all the concepts covered in this problem? Basically, ask questions that actually engage them in the thinking process. And then also give them some time. Everybody needs time to think, so don't need to rush. Then have them practice. Have you ever wondered, like, when in class you were totally getting it when your teacher is guiding you step by step on the board, but once you're out of class and try to do your own homework, you totally get lost? That's because you have to do it yourself. There's nothing like doing it for yourself. Even if it takes a long time for the first time, but as you keep doing it and doing it, you will get better. That brings me to the next one, which is repetition. Always repeat, 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 repeat. Even though it may be redundant, but research has shown that if you do at least a 7 times repetition of the same task, 70% of that task will be actually memorized in your head. So repeat, repeat, repeat. No, seriously, repeat. Next, always try to make connections between old and new concepts, new and old ideas, even between different categories and or even different fields, because it will help you a lot in recalling materials quickly or even learning new materials. For example, we all know this quadratic formula. When the first time student was given this equation formula, they're mainly used to solve, to factor the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. But then if you realize after you go on and try to connect with the other materials, the same formula, the first portion, which is the negative b over 2a, is actually the formula is used to find a vertex. And the vertex being x comma y, the x is negative b over 2a, and the y is just once you plug in that x into the original equation. And guess what? With also the same formula, b squared minus 4ac is actually the discriminant that tells us if it's less than 0, it means it may have two complex roots. If it's equal to 0, means it has one real root. And if it's larger than 0, it means it has two real roots. So the take-home message is that from the same formula, and if you try to connect them with the other material, you'll find out that it's not only used to find the zeros, you can find it to you can use it to find vertex of a parabola and help you determine answers by using determinants. So always make connections. And then lastly, always be aware. So like when you're doing your test, always ask yourself these questions. What else is it asking for? Did I miss anything? Did I get the right answer? Is my answer consistent to the problem? If I work in reverse, would I get back to the problem? Basically, if I could use an analogy, during the test, uh, it seems like you're going in a ward with your teacher, in which after you return your answer, your teacher will try their best to look for a hole that they can attack and therefore reduce your score. So your job during the test is ask yourself of these questions in order to help you to fill out the gap of those holes, so there's nothing your teacher can attack you and therefore you get better and perfect scores. if you buy my analogy. And next, I found a fun logic puzzle from an internet, and it goes like this. Stephen was looking at a photo. Someone asked him, "Whose picture are you looking at?" He replied, "I don't have any brother or sister, but this man's father is my father's son." So whose picture was Stephen looking at? The answer is Stephen's son. So there you have it. Good luck to you all in your learning process, and thank you for your time.